Hello, everybody. I have got a special solo episode for you today. It is Saturday right now. Like, this episode will be live this Saturday, June 28th. So I missed this Thursday's episode because we had some technical difficulties. Some of the audio did not actually record during the recording, and because I've been all over the place, and as a reminder, do this totally independently, that sometimes I literally record and I have to jump and go to the next thing. And I can turn these episodes around pretty quickly. So I was editing on Wednesday to release this on Thursday. And that's when I discovered all the audio faux pas. And at first I thought it was just the outro that I could edit out and kind of piece together or redo the outro really quick with our guest. And then I dove in more and I realized that it is so much more than that. And there was no really fixing it and we have to re-record. So my family was all in town, all in Tahoe during this time that I was like, I'm not going to try and see if I can get this recording in, tomorrow and get it out quickly or try and do a solo episode or a TNA or anything like that because I just really needed to be able to take the time with my family and I didn't want to schedule anything. I thought I did a really good job actually for once with front loading a lot of my work leading up to my family coming into town. I had the time off from the brewery and restaurant, and then with my remote work, I did a lot of scheduling ahead of time. And there was a few tasks I had to do, but they weren't really like I didn't have hard time set aside for it. So basically, whenever I had the time in the time during the week that my family was here, I was able to get those other things done. But I didn't have to worry about like, oh, I have a 3 o'clock or a 2 o'clock or whatnot because my family operates on pretty much no schedule. So it was really important to me to be as open as possible and as flexible as possible so that whenever they were ready to go do something, I could go meet them or be with them. My brother and sister-in-law have 3 small kids and her parents were here. My mom was here. It was just, a lot of people, a lot of moving parts. So like I said, I wanted to be as flexible as possible. So I had the thought like, you know what? Shit happens. It's okay. I can miss a week. And I mean, I really didn't want to, because there was another part of me, like the guilt part, like, well, I should have planned better. I should have had this episode ready to go, but I recorded it literally the day I left town. And due to some other issues earlier in the month, I have to re-record another episode. So I was just behind in my queue. And yeah, because shit happens, I like to be spontaneous, but also have somewhat of a plan. So it gets a little bit hard. But, as I get behind in some things in life, then all of a sudden other things suffer from it, right? And I can try and plan as much as possible, but again, just regardless the life I lead, the jobs I have, the things I do, things come up and I can't always plan it all. And in the end, like I said, it's not the end of the world. Even if I were to not do the solo episode right now, which was also contingent on some other things, which like was having the space alone to to do it because I really don't like talking to myself when anyone else is around or home. So yeah, family was all here. Now they're gone. They left yesterday. Now Andrew's gone and I really want to take this next week to get back on track because June ended up being insane. And it's like I've mentioned before, that meme where it's like being an adult is saying next week things will get slower or be easier or I'll have more time and whatnot. It never fucking happens. So having some kind of plan and system obviously does help, but it is so hard to keep up on all of it because again, I'm doing this all myself. So booking guests and finding the time between different jobs and events to schedule people in and with their schedules, making sure I have enough episodes in the queue, it's hard to do. And I am really proud of myself for doing what I have done and not missing a week in a really long time and getting this solo episode out, even though it's a couple days late. I still got one in this week. And for me, that is important. Again, wouldn't be the end of the world, but I really want to try and be as consistent as possible. So like I said, this week is going to be a lot of fucking catch up to try and reach out to more guests, get some guests on the books. And I have some on the books, and then I have to reach out, I've got 2 guests to reschedule, to re-record, which is something that we haven't really done. It happened back in September when we were going to have Katie Holden on the podcast. And unfortunately with her life and things, like we weren't able to reschedule. And So yeah, I've been in the situation where a re-recording had to happen, but then it didn't. And so now I have it 2 more times. But again, also I'm okay with that because I want the quality to be top notch. With this one that happened this week, there's nothing I could do. I would have had to cut that episode like in half. It wouldn't have made any sense. It's just like not the story we're going to tell. And then with the other one we're re-recording, I wanted my guests to be 100% happy with what we're putting out too, because again, it's their stories we're sharing. So they need to be happy with the final product. They need to be proud of what they're saying. They're representing their brand, their company, themselves. So yeah, I wanted to make sure that guest was happy with the audio, and she wants to go ahead and do a re-record because that's what she wants. And I am so happy to be able to provide that space and give that to her because again, if the guest isn't happy with what we're putting out there, then what's the point? Like, I feel like you can still feel that energy through there. And I'm out here trying to make some solid connections with people as well. And I want them to know that I'm a safe space. This podcast is a safe space. Our audience is a safe space. So if they don't feel that, then, well, we need to change that and we need to make them feel that. And I know this guest does, but again, it's just she didn't exactly, I think, get the story out that she wanted to. So we're gonna re-record it and it's gonna be great and it's gonna be even better because we've met in person since then. And I'm so excited to get the chance to do that. There's nothing wrong with having to redo something. It reminds me honestly of what the conversation we had with Lindsay Richter of Ladies All Ride recently and talking about failure. And we've talked about it before on the podcast. Like, you learn more from failure. Were these first 2 recordings failures? Not necessarily, but they could be better. And so we're going to make them better. Are they perfect? Are they going to be perfect? No, we're not striving for perfectionism. We are just striving to be better. And that's what we're going to do. And I'm fucking excited to do it. And anyway, so just a little update for you guys. As you've heard, the whole family was here. It was a bit crazy from the 18th to like today. I've been all over the place. I got to spend some alone time with my mom. We went to Bodega Bay, spent a couple days there. And then we came back to Tahoe, and my brother and sister-in-law and niece and nephews and my sister-in-law's parents came. And it was just a week of a lot of fun and hopping around, jumping around, like I said, no schedule at all. Really great. So sad to see them go. My brother and sister-in-law, well, and my mom haven't been here in about 5 years. So it was my nephews, both of their first time here in Tahoe. One is 3.5, one is just turned 2. So memories, that I don't know if they will remember, but my niece being 5.5, I know that she created probably some core memories here. She was less than a year old when she came the first time. So it was just so awesome to have her here where she can actually like do and see and remember some of the things. They all got to see my property for the first time, and that meant so much to me. I tell people all the time that to really understand the way that we live, you have to be here. You have to come see it. And that kind of puts all the hard work and sacrifices into perspective. We love it up here. And like I said, people don't fully understand sometimes how we live the way we do. But like I said, once you come here, you're like, oh, get it. I get it. And my sister-in-law said that a few times after she came to the property. She's like, okay, I totally understand. And it just means a lot because there are a lot of times, hopefully I don't cry, because I've been a little emotional over the last week thinking about the future and life and some things that are just going on behind the scenes that I'm not going to get into, but then also just the ups and downs of trying to create your own business. I've just been in one of those phases where I'm a little down and things feel so far away. I'm coming up on the up because it was good to take some time away and spend time with the family. And again, it meant a lot for my sister-in-law to be like, I get it, because where I was going with this was like, I do feel misunderstood a lot. And this probably sounds dramatic too, but I just have a hard time explaining, I guess, what I'm trying to do or what I want to do. It's not a clear-cut answer like, I want to be a doctor. I want to be a lawyer. It's, I want to own my own business and create just this life that I want. And I don't have exact clarity on how to do it or what the big picture is. There's not a bulleted 5-year plan. There's not an ultimate goal of I want the white picket fence in this house and that house. Like, I have visions of things, but I'm also open to evolve and for things to change. And ultimately, it's cliche in general, but it's like, I want to be happy. I want us to be living a life that we feel fulfilled, that we feel our own personal success in. And I just think, like, I know and I'm aware that those ideas will change over the years. My idea of success or my idea of happiness or things I want, they will change and evolve. So I can't say like when I get this, I'll be satisfied or happy or whatever, because also we know that when we reach goals, well, we have to have a new goal. Like it's not just that's it. We reach the goal, we're done, we're happy, we're content. Like we go for nothing else now. So yeah, I feel like I explaining things to people is hard. I feel like they don't get it. I feel like they want me in a niche down and it's just like choose a path or do this or you have to decide. I strongly disagree with that. And sometimes I just feel like, well, this is why I want to do things on my own because I don't want someone to tell me I have to do it this way or I need to choose this or I have to follow this path. I want the flexibility to change and evolve. And I don't think our society gives us enough grace in those areas. But yeah, I also understand that some things are smarter to do than not. Some of you may know too, I'm in a leadership program with the outdoor industry called the Futurist Project. And with that, I have a mentor. And I've never had a mentor before. So it's been really cool to have someone who is, many steps ahead of me in their business to like chat with, look up to, get some advice from. But I also have been struggling a little bit with it, to be honest, because sometimes I have a hard time taking advice from people. And then I get conflicted inside of why that is. Like, am I just controlling and I don't want to listen to anybody? Pure anarchy and rebellion? Like, I don't think so. But I think that I just, like I said, feel like sometimes I'm not able to explain what I'm trying to do or what I want to do clearly. Thus, the advice people give me maybe isn't as actionable all the time. Anyways, I'm trying to be really open with it. I talked to my sister-in-law and it was really, really great. We had a great conversation outside on their Airbnb deck, having a cocktail, looking at Lake Tahoe, and it was just really nice and refreshing. I have not had to have like I haven't had the chance to have alone time with her like that in over 5 years. Like I kid you not, since my niece was born, I've spent a little bit of alone time with my brother and my sister-in-law separately, like literally just a ride to like the grocery store or something back home in Washington and that's it, or like during nap time, and it's cut very very short usually. And so this trip I got to spend time with them both, like together, the three of us, no kids. That was amazing. But also talking to my sister-in-law was great. We have a lot of similar, I think, beliefs and just in things that we want. And I just know I can talk to her. And like so it was really great to talk to her to get some things out. And I wasn't just hearing like a who should do this and that. And that has happened from her and my brother before. They're older, so like of course they're going to give the older sibling type of advice, but this time was really amazing. She was listening and she was hearing me and validating me, and it made me feel really good that I was on the right path. So I think that that's what helped me kind of get out of this slump and back in the up and up and like trust in myself and my ideas and beliefs and trust that I do know what I want. I do have all these pieces and I can do it. Yeah, it's going to be tricky because I don't have the typical product or service or business or something, but it is possible. And for her to have seen the vision, I feel like with me meant a whole lot. But she also did bring up, being woo woo, like I can myself, the idea with my mentor. And, like she thinks that people and things are brought into our lives for a reason. And it was like, this is maybe something that's going to challenge you and challenge the way you think or believe. And in a good way, instead of my typical kind of response of like, I'm not liking what I'm hearing, like, so I'm going to say no and go the other way. I'm being challenged. And I'm not saying that that's exactly what my mentor is doing by any means, but I know that sometimes when things get a little bit hard and I'm used to flexibility, then I just want to say no, like, I don't want to do this or something. At the same time, it's not like I quit things very easily. But I think it's good to, yeah, have a lens from someone who isn't in my direct orb, isn't just going to pick me up and lift me up and say, yeah, you can do it, because they're like my friend, but give me advice that's unbiased and strategic and, again, actionable. But yeah, it can be hard for me to hear critical feedback at times and not just like go into the slumps and get bummed and just hear the negative. So I'm excited to continue through this program, learn more from people in my cohort and my mentor. And also, this whole last week has really made me think about some of the things that I'm doing, and I just really, and how clear I need to be to some people, especially people who are trying to help me. Like, I can give them more clarity on things. Like, again, it doesn't have to be a picture perfect, clear view, but I can still help myself more by communicating better with people. So that is what I'm going to try to do for sure. And with all that being said, as I mentioned, we've got just shit going on. Everyone always has things going on that they're not blasting into the universe. But some things recently have just really made me want to take the extra step, not the extra step, but like the bigger steps, and pull the trigger on some things I've been holding back on, or, trying to maybe wait till a better time, not necessarily the perfect time. And I'm also just tired of waiting, because I feel like the more I wait, like, someone else is just going to come in and fill the space. It's like someone has said this before on the podcast, and it's been the concept of ideas, right? And how there's a finite amount of ideas. So when you have an idea and you don't capitalize on that, someone else will. It will like come to fruition to someone else. And so that's like, yeah, why am I waiting on this? Why am I sleeping on it? Like, I need to just do it. I need to take the chance, because at least I know that I've tried. And if I tried and it didn't work, but somewhere down the line someone else does it and it works for them, like, well, such is life, right? But at least I know I tried. Yeah, as frustrated as I can get with things moving at a snail's pace, I also am at the same time super ready to, like I said, just make some moves that for me feel big and in the grand scheme aren't going to be. It's like, actually, when we just recorded the one of the episodes, we have to re-record with our guest Nicole Johnson of Boyd Cycling. She made a comment about when they were smaller amount of money they spent, and like as a risk, in the business. And now looking back, it's like funny. Like, that's a cute amount of money that they were at the time thought was just so huge and life changing. So I'm excited. I want to get to that point where I'm looking back at these moments right now and I'm like, oh, remember when I like was afraid to send that email, or afraid to spend that amount of money on this thing for the first time because I didn't know if it would work. And then, even just a year from now, I'll be at the point of like, yeah, that was funny. And now I'm making these even bigger steps. So yeah, I mean, things are scary all the time. I think life should be scary to an extent, right? Or choices, goals should be scary. If they're not scary, then they say, maybe they're not big enough. And some goals can certainly be easy in those box checkers, like, cool, went to the gym. Check. Did saved this amount of money. Check. Whatever it is. It's nice to have those little ones that you can check off. It's nice and satisfying off your to-do list, but we need those big audacious goals that fucking give us a little bit of like anxiety and scare us a little, because that means we're coming out of our comfort zone, and what happens there? We grow. So yeah, a lot of these decisions or things I want to do just gonna come with a cost. That's always the thing that holds me back most is I don't have the finances to like afford this or that, or to spend the money here and there. And that's very frustrating and a vicious cycle. How can I spend money on the podcast and the podcast isn't making money? Like, but there's you gotta spend money to make money, all these different philosophies, right? And obviously there's just financial education being smart. So for me, it's always like, well, is this smart? Is this the like you got to spend money to make money kind of thing and it will work? Or is it just stupid because I'm not in a great place to make this choice? I don't know. I don't know. And only time will tell. But I know that I fucking want to take the chance and the risk, and I don't think it's stupid. And all I'm saying over and over and over to myself is like, it will work, because guess what? I don't think there's another option. So it has to work. I will make it work. And then those thoughts creep into my brain where I see people who are, entrepreneurs, and they've put everything into their small business and tried absolutely everything they can, and they just can't make it work. And that is super sad. And I worry sometimes, like I said, those invasive thoughts are always going to come in your mind. I'm like, is that going to be me? Am I going to be the one who tried absolutely fucking everything? Because I already feel like I have tried multiple businesses and things and put a lot of money into them, and they never really worked out how I thought. But at the same time, I'm like, did I give it absolutely everything? So yeah, but like I said, some people do. They really, really, really do. And it just doesn't work out. And it's fucking terrifying that is a possibility. But I can't let those thoughts stop me from trying, right? We cannot let fear stop us from trying. Some people are just riskier than others. Some might say, don't do that. Don't quit that job before you have another one. But I've always done that. I've always quit that job and then didn't have one, or sometimes I have, sometimes I haven't, and things have worked out. I'm very much of the breed where, jump and the net will appear versus the people who are jump once you know the net's there. And to each their own. To each their own. Look, you never know if it's the best decision until after the fact. It's just the way it is. And like I said, some people are riskier than others, and risk is also relative. It's your perception. And I just think I'm at a point where it's like, why am I not? I can give it more. I can give it more. How do I give it more? It's time to give it more. So if you're hanging with me, if you have hung with me this far through my ramblings, I hope that what you're hearing is that if you're at a juncture in your life of, can I give it more? Should I give it more? Obviously, like I said, it's your life, your risks, and what is risky to you, but maybe think about that. Like, obviously, you can do a pros and cons list, but I'm all for take the chance. If it's not obviously the dumbest complete thing, you'll lose everything type of situation. See, I feel that I'm in a point where I don't have anything to lose. So what's holding me back? That's where I am. If you have some things to lose, make some smarter decisions, do some calculating and whatnot. But for me personally, I'm at a point that it's like, why not? Why not go all in? What am I waiting for? What am I waiting for? And I think a lot of us out there, a lot of you listeners are in spaces like that in some point of your life. It might not be a huge, huge thing either. It could be a very simple thing in your life that you're waiting on doing. But why? Paint the fucking wall bright green. Why not? Try it. If it's absolutely horrendous, you can paint over it. Literally, like I said, it can be so simple. If it's a little bit bigger, relationships, changing something, moving, job. Yeah, you can take a little more consideration into it. But, we've said it before here. Hopefully it doesn't feel like a broken record to you. I just think that, someone out there definitely resonates with, because we all go through different phases of life at different times. We go through them multiple times too. So it hopefully is hitting someone now. Like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and take that chance on something that I've been thinking about but not doing. And no, I'll be right there with you, taking that leap and praying to fucking whatever's in the universe that net appears. And guess what? Sometimes it doesn't. And we fall and we crash hard. But what do we have to do? We still have to get the fuck back up. So I think just knowing that, like I said, it's like, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and I have to just keep going, and I have to try again with something else. Just feel like the world's a dumpster fire right now too. So why wait? Why wait? But anyways, I feel like I've been pretty elusive with things, and that's because they're not all set yet, right? But point is, take the risk. And as usual, I've been all over the fucking place. So stoked to continue on with the podcast, do some stuff, hopefully have some more events here this summer. Time to get my outreach on, send these texts about some events. So keep your eyes out in the Truckee Tahoe area for some events, in-person events and things like that. We did the Roam in the Wild here in Truckee a couple weeks ago. It took me a while to get that recap post up, days to be exact. Well, it's 20 days from it now, so I'm doing that recap via podcast. It was great though. We had about 30 women show up. We split into 3 different groups. One group lapped this trail called Wood Splitter in Truckee like 3 times. The other 2 groups just did a casual leisure ride on this low-key, flowy trail. We had pizza from Truckee Brewing Company. Curious Creatures was there with the best trail snacks like nerd clusters and Sour Patch Kids. Shredley had swag for us, so we did a little raffle with some fun hats and headbands and things from Shredley, and it was so awesome to have the support of those brands and those women and everyone who came. And of course, Rome Fest. We wouldn't have had this at all without Rome Fest. I haven't been to Rome Fest, but I really feel like it was a little bit of that magic and the tiniest bit because, this was a couple hours versus a full weekend at Rome Fest. So I'm just super stoked for September to come and for us to be at Rome Fest. At the same time, I'm like, it's the end of June. It's fucking July in a couple days. Time is flying. So we got to get our butts in gear about getting our trip planned there. So stay tuned for some updates on that, on our trip to Rome Fest and some fun things coming up. So again, thanks for hanging in there on this little solo catch-up episode, excuse me. And I hope you all out there are ready to enjoy some summer and take some risks, make some changes, do the fucking thing. Just do the fucking thing. That's what every episode is about here at Tearing It Up, is to inspire us all to go for the things that we want. Go for the things that you want. We have one life to live, and we need to start doing the things because time passes anyways. So again, know when you really need to take a step back, take the time away, and maybe not do the things. But also know when you need to take the leaps, make the jumps, say yes to doing the things, say no to the things that don't serve you, but say yes more to the things that do, the things that are missing from your life, the things that brought you happiness and you don't have anymore. Like, do those again. It doesn't have to be in the same capacity. It doesn't have to be every day of the week. It doesn't even have to be every week, but find the time to make the shit happen here and there, and that will be much better than not at all. Anyways, guys, thanks again, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your weekend or week, and happy almost July. Happy summer. Let's fucking go tear it